Hi, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I had a comment that contained a question, and I thought it was a very good question and definitely worthy of a video. The question was relating to the 503 UL pressure testing that had to do with checking for crankcase leaks, gasket leaks, etc. Now, Don wrote the question in and he said, okay, you're putting the vacuum or pressure, right now I have pressure in it, in on the PTO cylinder. I thought they were separated in the center. How does the pressure get to the mag cylinder? An excellent question. So first off, just let me demonstrate that it does get there, and then I can explain why after. So let me move the camera and focus in better, and I'll show you how this will work, that the pressure does get to the mag cylinder. Now, may I suggest that you view the video that I made on pressure testing the crankcase on the 503 Rotax UL engines. So I have all of my kit installed. The engine is completely sealed up. I'm using the pulse port for the fuel pump again to introduce pressure into the engine, and I have 5 pounds of pressure. Now again, the question deals with, I'm putting it in the PTO crankcase. How does it get to the mag crankcase, and how does it get in the mag cylinder? So they have the crankshaft positioned so that the mag piston is all the way down. Of course, as in the other video, the transfer ports are open. So the top of the cylinder, the top end head gasket, is all exposed to pressure. Let me show you that it does what happens when I take out the mag spark plug. I'm sure that you must have heard that. There was a lot of pressure in there. And of course, we're down to 0 on the gauge. So yes, there absolutely is a connection from this crankcase from the PTO end and the crankcase from the mag end. Now, is there a seal in the center? Absolutely. But it may not be the kind of seal that you normally think of as a seal goes. So I'm going to show you on a crankshaft what the seal in the center actually looks like. So here we've got your typical 503 crankshaft. My marker represents the port on the crankcase where we put our pulse line on for the fuel pump, and of course that's where I did my pressure testing and vacuum testing. So we can easily see then that it's hooked onto this, the PTO crankcase. It's easy to see, well, the vacuum or pressure gets in there that I apply when I'm testing. How does it get to the other side, to the mag end crankcase and the cylinder, etc.? How does it get from this side to that side? This is in the center. This is actually a seal. So the thought of, is there a seal in there? There is. It's called a labyrinth seal, and it seals with liquid. So gas and oil in this instance. And you can see I can rock it a bit. Now this is all metal. So unlike the crankshaft seal, where the lip of the rubber seal touches the steel, the metal all the time on the shaft, so this is in 100% contact all the time, this lip. I don't know if it's because of heat, just because it's in the center, but they chose not to use this in the center. They use this labyrinth seal. So because of the fact that it seals with gas and oil and it doesn't touch, it's not going to generate any heat. So it's a pretty neat design. Now, how does it work? Well, I'm going to apply some pressure to this crankcase during my pressure test, and it goes underneath where there's that movement, and the pressure can get to the mag and crankcase. And the same when I do a vacuum test, I can pull a vacuum on this side in the PTO crankcase, and it'll pull vacuum underneath the labyrinth seal and evacuate the crankcase and the up through the transfer ports into the cylinder for the mag side. So hopefully you understand that. Maybe not the best description, but it's the best I can come up with on that one. Anyway, I have a 503 crankshaft with the center part in it, and I can show you the pieces, and then probably it may become much more understandable. So we'll move this bearing and the locating ring aside, and the same with the other bearing and the locating ring aside. And here is, of course, our labyrinth seal. It's made out of aluminum. It's nice and round. It's machined nicely on the outside, and it's the same diameter as the bearing. So when the crankcase is assembled, this is captured on the outside so that it can't wobble that way and it can't move around this way. So the very center of this hole is absolutely lined up with the center of the crankshaft in the center. So it's going to have an even space all the way around. Now, let's see what space is going to have. How much room is actually in there? So not the most elegant tool for this, but it'll work. And it's 1 inch 382. Let me mark that down, 1 inch 382. And let me measure. And the seal is offset, right? This is the end that faces the mag end. So it's kind of offset a bit. So let's measure this. And we have, measure it right where we are. And 77. Okay, 1 inch 377 right there. If you can see it, there we go. So 1 inch 377, and that is going to be 5,000ths of an inch. So we have, when we think about it, well, how much does the oil have to fit into the fluid actually, which would be the oil gas mix? It's really 2.5 thou on this side, 2.5 there, 2.5 there, 2.5 there is really the spacing all the way around it, because our overall is 5,000ths. Well, it's as close as I can measure it with a vernier. So so there it goes, fits right on there like that. I can still move it. That's all that movement that you see is 5,000ths or really close to that. So hopefully that answers the question of how does this work? Because of course the pressure from my testing, when the engine's not running and there's no oil film inside there filling up that gap or making the seal part of it, it can go right in that space underneath, comes out this side, and pressurize the mag side of the crankcase, and we can get a good pressure test result or a vacuum test result if we want. So it doesn't touch, it seals with liquid. So if you you might want to check out, maybe do a little research on labyrinth seal, and there's a zillion applications for it. Like I say, as far as I can see, they probably use this in the center because it doesn't touch, it doesn't make any heat, it doesn't make any friction, whereas a seal like this does. So there's no way to cool this. So in a real high temperature application, this is definitely the way to go as far as I would think. Although I'm not an engineer, it's just my thoughts on it. Does a 503 have a sealer between the cylinders? As you can see, it does, but it's a labyrinth seal. And now hopefully you understand how it works. So thank you for the question, Don. And thank you everyone for watching the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe. All those other things. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.